Well, hello everybody. How you doing? Welcome. It's Friday night, and as such, we're into 2 full hours of the Paranormal Portal just starting now. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. Thank you all for joining me. We're simulcasting tonight, or trying to, on the networks, but I'm not hearing anything over there. So I'm not sure if we are or not. There might be a problem with the network. So if you'll just hang tight with me while I look into this, we'll see if anything is happening in the network world. But hope you guys are doing great. Happy weekend to you. For those of you that are celebrating your weekend now, by God, you've earned it. And thank you so much for spending part of it here with me. That's always means the world to me as my life gets new meaning every time I turn on the lights here on the show. So thank you all so much for being a part of this. I see we got a new person in the YouTube chat. This is Shrek is in here. How you doing? Good to see you. Love your movies, and thank you so much for checking out the show. We got a lot of things going on tonight, as always, but remember, tomorrow night, we got a special guest joining us. We are going to be joined by Nick Valente. Nick is a cryptozoologist, and he's going to be here to talk about Dogman and, well, hell, just about anything else we can throw at him. He's been at this for a long time, and it'll be a great opportunity to hear what he's got to say. So that'll be tomorrow night here on the Paranormal Portal, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on YouTube. So I hope you guys will join us, or join me and Nick and I, as it were. Sorry, I'm a little froggy. Just got done with a interview for the podcast prior to the live show. So I'm a little bit raspy, but I'm doing okay. Just totally excited to be here as always. So tonight, there's nobody off screen that I need to introduce you to, because it's just you and I. Oh man, hold on. I kind of swallowed something wrong there or something. Or that's the version I'm going with. No, my problem is I sit in the studio here so much, but I'm not talking to anybody. And then I start doing the show. It's like, so trying to clear out all the hairballs before we get started here. But if you're new to the show, like Shrek might be, I don't know if Shrek's a new person or just a new name, but we cover all the Paranormal Portal, or all the paranormal stuff here. Hi, Mom. How you doing? Portal Mom's here. Good deal. And, I don't like to do it all dark and brooding and stuff. I think that this stuff can be dark and brooding all on its own, and I don't need to engage in a bunch of theatrics or creepy voices or whatever. I just like to have fun with it and talk about this stuff, because, again, I think the paranormal is not just where things went off the rails or things went sideways, or it's some kind of glitch in reality. I think that this stuff is maybe the breadcrumbs. And it's kind of teaching us that our reality is much more dynamic and fluid than we would ever have realized. So that's why I love this stuff, because I think there's something truly incredible and amazing going on here. And while it's hard to get our established sciences to look at this objectively or aggressively, it's certainly incumbent upon all of us, I guess, to do it. So that's what we're doing here on the show. That's always what I'm after, is just to understand what the hell this stuff is, because we don't know. Nobody knows. So we're going to be getting into the news here shortly. The Paranormal Portal News, of course, is where we talk about paranormal and other news. And then we're going to get into the Discord question of the week. We're going to get into an article that I just found. Pretty crazy stuff, actually. Some of it is, I've read through a little bit of it before the show, which is just, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't pulling up an article of repeats of stuff we've already covered. And all of it looks fresh to me, which after, 1,000 or, well, almost 1,500 shows or whatever we're up to here on YouTube, it's hard to remember everything we've already covered, but I try to at least put an effort into bringing you new stuff. And so hopefully I'm doing that tonight, but I don't recall ever reading many of these things that I picked up on this article that we're going to be getting into. So it should be good. And then, of course, we're going to visit the Cryptid Corner with some Sasquatch Chronicles blog and possibly some phantoms and monsters from Lon Strickler. So, well, hey, Jake, good to see you. Glad to see you back. How's to fam? How's my fam? I think you meant how's your fam? It's good, I think. Yeah, I think we're all good. And, Portal Mom is actually my mom. If you see her in the chat there on YouTube, that's actually my mom. I don't think we're actually broadcasting, though, on the network. So just hold on a sec. I've been watching that, and I don't see anything going on. It still says we're muted. So there must be a problem with the network. So I'm just going to disconnect that quickly because we don't need an extra connection. We don't need. And if it's not working, I can't fix it. So let me just take care of this quick, and then we'll be off to the races. So we may be going commercial free tonight as it works out because it's just us. So let's do this. All right. I guess it's about time. Enough of me gum running and buying time while I check the network. If you're looking on your screen here, you're going to see this green thing up in the corner. I'm circling my mouse about it now. This is a ghost radar. It's an old ghost radar. It's way back at least 15 years ago. maybe about 12, 13 years ago, probably. And it still works, believe it or not. And we're just going to have that up during the show to see if something anomalous pops up. Now, and I do this on every show, but I think it's important to point this out. Do I think this thing is indicative of paranormal activity? Like, is it, if we see stuff on there, is it conclusively paranormal? No. But the way these work is that it essentially uses the wireless mechanism built into a computer or a smartphone or whatever, or a tablet. And it utilizes the narrow bandwidth that offers and can allegedly detect electromagnetic anomalies. And it is a magnetometer, so that makes sense. So if it does pop up something on the screen, especially in the circle, it could be. Is it for sure? No. Again, if you're a serious investigator, you don't just throw one thing at it and say, well, there's a ghost in there because I got ghost radar hits. Well, no. It could be, and it could be absolutely something else. Who knows? But if, just to let you know how this is laid out, if anything happens on the top half of this circle, that basically means on the other side of the monitors and camera that are right here. So there's another half of the room over there where I have my music equipment set up. And so it could be something over there. If it happens on the lower half down here, then that's in my neighborhood. So just keep an eye on that. And if you see something, let me know. Sometimes it gives me an audio alarm about it. Like it does this weird Harry Potter parcel tongue thing. Like it's just the creepiest damn noise, but sometimes it doesn't. So I guess it depends on the intensity of the anomaly or the signal. So if it goes off, we'll have to watch it. So I don't see anything. Something had triggered, but it didn't list on the list down here. So I don't know what it was, or if it was just too weak that it didn't quite register. So we'll just keep an eye on that, see what happens. Paranormal Portal, is this is something plugged in? Can you show us what it looks like? No, it's actually running on the computer itself. So I don't have my computer, which is the tower underneath my desk here. I don't have it using wireless. It has built-in wireless, but I have it wired into the router and stuff. You always should if you're streaming, because it's just a much more reliable connection, much faster connection than wireless, although wireless is getting better. So it's utilizing the unused wireless adapter to do that sweep. And again, it's not really a very big cross section of the EM spectrum. The wireless signals use a very narrow part of that spectrum, so it's only given us a little glimpse into the whole grand range of electromagnetic spectrum. So again, I don't mean to imply that it's definitely paranormal. It could be nothing. We just don't know. I don't know. So I just thought we'd put it up here because it's been kind of fun to see what happens. And sometimes it spits out words, which I've never found any real relevance to, except for on a couple of occasions, which seems more like the law of averages than it does that it's actually a paranormally inclined message. But I will tell you that something seems to be triggering the app to spit out a word, some kind of EM event is triggering it to spit out a word, but I don't think there's relevance in the word. So at least I've not found it. Usually it's dates, these weird dates like 1509 will get spit out. And it's like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? I don't know. So you be the judge, but it's just another fun-filled aspect of the program here. So hopefully you enjoy that as well. So I guess without further ado, let's get to the news and just find out what the hell I've curated for you tonight. So without further ado, let's check out the news. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here on the news. I see my littlest minion is here, Mr. Elijah. How you doing, buddy? And Elijah, if you look on the chat, you'll see Portal Mom. That's your grandma. She's here too. It's a family affair here on the Portal. So, and of course, all of you guys are family as well. You're just the extended family. So, welcome to the Paranormal Portal News Desk. I'm your anchor, Brent Thomas, and we're going to dive into some news stories that I've pulled up for your enjoyment. Again, tomorrow there won't be news. So this is actually the last news of this week. So I hope you guys enjoy it extra specially. I don't even know if that was grammatically correct, but I don't get paid for the grammar. So let's get to the first article up for bat tonight here on the news. And this is coming from a site that I love, and I hope you guys support them. Please stop in there and visit the site. It's just hands down the greatest paranormal and other news site that I've ever found. It's just, I don't know. It's apparently one person. Every article is attributed to T.K. Randall, but this person is just a machine because they're churning out articles like crazy. I don't know how they do it. It's just obviously something that they're very passionate about, but I just love this site. So please support what they're doing. All right, the first news article for the night, unexplained-mysteries.com. Man claims mischievous child ghost pushed shopping cart into his car. Happens all the time, folks. Those mischievous children ghosts. I don't know. I don't know. Bizarre footage has emerged showing the wayward cart seemingly making a beeline for the man's parked vehicle. Wonder why the ghost is so pissed at him. The incident, which occurred when 21-year-old Kobe Todd left work at a supermarket outside Dallas, Texas, recently saw the shopping cart, which had been sitting stationary in the parking lot up until that point, suddenly turn around all on its own and careen straight into his car just as he was getting in. Yeah, that doesn't sound personal at all. What made the collision particularly weird was how the cart had just started moving all of a sudden and had rolled directly into his car while avoiding another car that was parked right next to him. Footage captured on the CCTV even shows the moment the incident happened. When I got in my car and shut the door, I realized the cart had hit it, said Todd. Wow, that'd be a hell of a insurance claim. I thought someone had tossed it at me, but when I got out, there was no one there. So I went inside to get the video footage. Far from being the work of a mere gust of wind, however, Todd believes that the spirit of a young child who he had allegedly encountered during a paranormal investigation the day before was responsible. Ooh, it followed you. Maybe he was trying to play with me, he said. That's quite a game. You can check out the footage for yourself below. Well, let's do that. Let's find out what happened here. Texas man claims little boy's ghost pushed the car. I don't know where this is coming from, but some news and media company. Let's take a look.
Here's what happened. You walked by and said something, didn't you?
My jacket was broke.
Oh, okay. Look, you said something to it, right? You must have said something to it because it took offense.
Now it's just sitting there.
As soon as you got it right there and it started moving. Oh, you shouldn't have said anything. Look at this. Oh, look at this?
Nothing's moving.
Oh, yeah. Now I know what car he's in. He shouldn't have said that to me.
And apparently this guy, the other guy watching with him, claims that he must have said something.
Oh, I'm coming for you. And you said it. Oh,
look at that.
It has to go to you.
Wow. I'm going to get rid of the commentary because it's kind of distracting. But yeah, it does just sit there for a while and then just boom, heads to that guy's car. And it really does just, it really does just tag him. That's pretty crazy. Wow. Oh, hey, Anubis, you got let in. How about that? Don't come over here, though, please. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, that's kind of bizarre because it's sitting there for the longest time throughout the course of this video. And then once he gets to his car, and obviously, I don't know, maybe this thing didn't know where his car was, but it does seem pretty intentional. That's actually a much better video than what I was expecting. I was expecting some kind of fraudulent insurance claim. Like, I don't know, it was a ghost, I think. That's pretty crazy. I don't know what to make of that. Pretty bizarre, whatever it is. So he's gotten to his car. He's, I guess, in it. Now watch, there it goes. It starts spinning. The cart starts spinning. And just like that, boom. I mean, that does seem really suspicious. I don't know if there's any other factors that could be at work here, but look at it. It seems like it's heading for this other car, and then it just kind of steers to the right a little bit to nail his car. Oops. I guess he said something, like the guy said. Maybe he said something, and maybe he had something following him. You never know. Again, if you do paranormal investigating, people, I think it's important when you're done to make sure that you don't let something follow you. You gotta close out your investigation just like you'd close out a Ouija board. You gotta be like, nope, we're done. Say a prayer, cleanse yourself, smudge, I don't know, whatever you want to do. But definitely say, you can't follow me. You're not allowed. I do not give you my permission. So that's pretty crazy. Not what you were expecting to see. Not what I was expecting to see, actually. I'm pretty impressed with that. That's pretty bizarre. It was just sitting there and all of a sudden it took off and decided to nerf his vehicle. So you be the judge, folks. I don't know. I all I can do is just show it like it's happened. All right, here comes the next one, and this one has to do with UFOs. We always love UFO stuff here on the Paranormal Portal. And the UFO stuff is from unexplained-mysteries.com. The article, Pentagon has footage of UFOs being shot down, but it's classified. Of course it is. Of course it is, folks. You can't see that stuff. That's for classified eyes. I don't know. I mean, I hear, okay, again, I think I don't think if we don't understand what these things are, we don't understand how they operate, we don't understand what the hell's going on with them, I don't think you start with lobbing missiles at things. I don't think that's a good first contact because we don't know where's it from, who sent it, what do they want, and you sure you want to piss them off? Because I'm thinking that's a really bad idea, but I don't know. Let's see what the article says. Officials have confirmed the existence of recent footage showing UAPs being shot down over North America. So I wonder if these were some of those 4 anomalous objects that were allegedly shot down after that balloon. Earlier this year, there was a spate of incidents involving unidentified objects being sighted and subsequently shot down in and around the United States. The first, which was described as a Chinese spy balloon, was downed on February 4th. Then, over the following weeks, 3 more objects of unknown nature and origins were downed over Alaska, Canada, and the Great Lakes. Now, according to the Pentagon, actual footage exists of these objects being shot down, but none of it can be released to the public because it's classified. Wow. Footage of aircraft interactions with high-altitude objects does exist, but remains classified. A Department of Defense spokesman told PETA Pixel? Okay, PETA Pixel. Sounds like a nursery rhyme. Release of the image and footage is not possible at this time No timeline has been provided for future release. Could this indicate that there's more to these incidents than meets the eye? Were all the objects spy balloons, or were they something else that the government would prefer not to disclose? The search for answers continues. Well, there you go. We got that going for us. It's, I guess, the search we're all on. Yeah, I don't know. But I don't think that shooting missiles at things is a good first contact. Somebody should rewrite that playbook, I think, because, you just don't want to poke the bear. So, but what the hell do I know? I don't know. That is creepy, though. I don't think, if you don't know what it is, don't shoot at it. God. It's like that old idea of maybe why the cryptids are so skittish. It's like, imagine you're a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch lollygagging through the field with your family, and all of a sudden you hear a noise, and there's some strange bald Bigfoot that's much shorter with a stick, and he's looking at him and going, "What do you suppose that is, Gunthar?" I don't know. And then it points the stick at you and shoots. Because it's like, what the hell's that? I don't know. Let's shoot it and find out. I don't think that's a good logic. That's not a good path of logic for me. And I don't know if you guys agree or not, but I think we definitely don't shoot at things you don't understand. That's got to be the dumbest idea yet. But I guess when the motherships appear, well, none of us will be too surprised. Let's go to the next one. This one's from unexplained-mysteries.com. And yep, it's our favorite goofball in the paranormal. Here's the thing. I don't have any personal beef with this guy. I don't know him. I don't know him at all. I just know of him, as do all of you. And who I'm talking about is Uri Geller. And, he's been a controversial figure forever. I think he has made incredibly bold claims through the decades of his prowess and abilities and such. I think he was kind of shredded by the amazing Randy for quite a long time when he, challenged him, and Uri couldn't rise up to the challenges of his mentalist abilities. So, be that as it may, do I think he has some ability? Maybe, but he's kind of like always trying to remain relevant, especially lately. He's making all these claims about UFOs and extraterrestrials and all of this stuff. He even took credit for he and his audience being the ones responsible for unjamming that big ship in the Suez Canal or whatever. Or maybe it was the Panama Canal. I don't know. There was a ship that was jammed up in the canal and it was screwing everything up. And he took credit for getting that resolved. So, hell of a guy, Uri Geller. That's all I can say. But what is he up to now? Well, let's find out, because Uri Geller posts up footage of alleged UFO on Twitter. Well, there you go. Good for you, Uri. I love that they refer to him as the Israeli spoonbender. He's published footage of a mysterious object while declaring they are watching us. So many people have been posting and reposting videos of UFOs on social media in recent months that it's become almost routine. But when self-proclaimed psychic Uri Geller posted up footage of a mysterious cylindrical object recently, it quickly racked up almost 100,000 views. Astronomers spent decades looking for objects from outside our own solar system, he wrote. Then two arrived at once. When should we expect the next one? And how can they teach, or what can they teach us? They are watching, making sure no nuclear weapon is triggered. The objects from outside the solar system he is referring to are Oumuamua, which flew by our planet back in 2017, and a second space rock, which exploded over Papua New Guinea in 2014. While some astronomers such as Avi Loeb believe that the object could be artificial in nature, the jury is still out on whether or not there is any truth to the idea. The footage Geller posted, meanwhile, has nothing to do with Oumuamua at all, and appears to be a long cylindrical object, possibly a balloon, flying through the sky. It's not clear where the footage was taken or when. Here's the alleged footage, I guess. Let's see what's... I'll let you out in a minute, cat. Oh, the cat. All right, here's the footage. Let's take down the volume a lot. Well, there's the object. Yeah, you don't generally expect to see balloons flying sideways like that, but that was the whole thing. I don't know. Looks like it could be stationary. My cat's actually tapping the door handle like it's like, hey, I want out of here. Thank you, kitty. Nubis, just lay down, buddy. I'll be with you soon. As soon as I can be. I don't know. I think it's valid. It looks unidentified to me. I don't know what it is, but that doesn't mean it's alien. But anyway, he's back in the news, and so it's incumbent upon us to talk about it, I guess. Here's another one about Oumuamua, and this is one I had open for Wednesday's show but never got to just because we had a ton of stuff to read through. But let's see what you guys think. I don't know how long this is. No, it's not too long. This one's readable. It says from unexplained-mysteries.com, mystery of Oumuamua has finally been solved, or has it? Yeah, there's another push trying to explain it as a natural thing. I don't necessarily know either way, but I kind of side with Avi Loeb on this, or Leb, or however you say his last name. Scientists believe that they have now definitely proven that the interstellar visitor Oumuamua was not an alien spacecraft. The 400-meter long object, which flew past our planet back in October 2017, became the focus of much debate and intrigue after it was found to have come from a distant solar system. Even today, the exact nature and origins of Oumuamua, and the Hawaiian word for scout, continue to remain a major point of study. Excuse me, with scientists attempting to determine exactly what the object is made of, where it came from, and how long it's been traveling through space. There have been suggestions that the object could be some sort of alien spacecraft. Now, though, two scientists have put forward a new explanation for the enigmatic space rock, which would seem to put to bed once and for all any notion that it is an artificial structure. Well, how could they do that? Unless you've been there and tapped it. I don't know. But anyway, we'll continue. In particular, the pair explain Oumuamua's peculiar burst of speed as it moved through our solar system by way of the presence of molecular hydrogen, which turned into gas when when it neared the sun. Given the information that we have, I think that this is our best hope of explaining Oumuamua without having to resort to more sensational ideas. Yeah, you desperately want it to be a rock. That way things stay within their paradigm. Not that they're wrong. I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to speak with any authority, but I also question their tenacity to want it to be a rock. But we're excited about this idea because it seems very generic and a natural explanation for a process that should be happening anyways. Not everyone, however, is convinced, especially Avi Loeb, the Harvard astronomer, who's long argued that Oumuamua could be an extraterrestrial spacecraft. This is unreasonable because it is impossible for all the hydrogen trapped deep in the object's interior to leave the surface without releasing oxygen atoms with them along the way, he told Motherboard. Ooh, good point, Avi Loeb. Keep in mind that Oumuamua had the size of a football field. How can all the hydrogen from a depth of tens of meters reach the surface while leaving an object of pure oxygen behind? That is implausible. Well, there you go. Again, I think there are many people that are absolutely motivated for this to remain just another piece of interstellar space rock because then their paradigm is intact. Something coming as a extraterrestrial craft is a huge threat to the status quo, you know? So I in my eyes, that's why they're so tenacious at trying to explain it. And I don't know how he would tell if there was just oxygen left behind or hydrogen and oxygen. I don't know. Again, maybe through spectrometers or whatever that they're using to view these objects. I don't know. It's all Greek to me, but I think it's possible that Avi Loeb is correct. But you be the judge. Again, I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. You believe what you want to believe. Now we have a couple other articles. Let's see how we're doing. Actually, I want to get to one that was sent to me. This was sent in by Rachel. This one concerns the hell out of me. But I know that we Americans, we eat a lot of frankenfoods. We eat a lot of things that probably are not in our best interest. A lot of uber processed foods, a lot of items that maybe shouldn't be food grade but are. So here's an article. Thank you, Rachel, for sending this in. This is from the CBC. What's going on? Oh, okay. But the article is from the CBC.ca, so I think this is Canada. And Canadian Broadcasting Company, I think is what CBC stands for. And the article is giant meatball with woolly mammoth DNA unveiled by cultured meat startup. Meatball is made of sheep cells inserted with mammoth gene myoglobin or myoglobin. How do you say that? Myoglobin? Yeah. With a soup con of elephant DNA. Why does that sound like a menu? That's either a science experiment or a menu. And there's a picture of the meatball. It's a big meatball. It looks like a mammoth meatball. A meatball made from the flesh cultivated using the DNA of an extinct woolly mammoth created by a cultured meat company is presented at Nemo Science Museum in Amsterdam on Tuesday. A giant meatball made from the flesh cultivated using the DNA of an extinct woolly mammoth was unveiled on Tuesday at Nemo, a science museum in the Netherlands. The meatball was created by Australian cultured meat company Vow, which, promising this was not an April Fool's joke, said it wanted to get people talking about cultured meat. What the hell is cultured meat? I don't know. Calling it a more sustainable alternative to real meat. Well, so what makes more sense? Now, I understand that there's, I don't want to be killing my food. I really don't. I mean, I'm very, very much into the sanctity of life and that kind of stuff. But I know that the meat is grown on animals, and we can get that. We already do get that. And it's been working out, I mean, pretty well for millennia anyway. But I'm not so sure about test tube meat, I don't know about getting my burger from a test tube. I'm not sure about that. Let's keep reading, I guess. We wanted to create something that was totally different from anything you can get now. Yeah, you did that. Vow founder Tim Noakesmith told Reuters. He said that an additional reason for choosing mammoth is that scientists believe that the animal's extinction was caused by climate change. The meatball was made of sheep cells inserted with a singular mammoth gene called myoglobin. And when it comes to meat, myoglobin is responsible for the aroma, the color, and the taste. James Ryall, Vow's chief scientific officer, explained. Just don't eat it. Since the mammoth DNA sequence obtained by Vow had a few gaps, African elephant DNA was inserted to complete it. I saw this movie. Much like they do in the movie Jurassic Park, Ryall said, stressing the biggest difference is that they were not creating actual animals. No, just meat. Or something that approximates meat, I guess. While creating cultured meat usually means using blood of dead calf, Vow used an alternative, meaning no animals were killed in the making of the mammoth meatball. Well, you got that going for you. The meatball, which has the aroma of crocodile meat, is currently not for consumption. The protein That was a loud swallow. Sorry about that. The protein is literally 4,000 years old. We haven't seen it in a very long time, and that means we want to put it through rigorous tests, something that we would do with any product we bring to the market, Noak Smith said. I'm really sorry. I don't mean to be so coffee. Environmental benefits. Here we go. Test tube meat, the wave of the future. Cultivated meat could vastly reduce the environmental impact of global meat production in the future. Currently, billions of acres of land are used for agriculture worldwide. How much do you suppose is used for growing vegetables? I bet more. Seren Kell, Science and Technology Manager at Good Food Institute, a nonprofit that promotes plant and cell-based alternatives to animal products, said he hopes the project will open up new conversations about cultivated meats' extraordinary potential. This is all driven by investors. You know that, right? I mean, somebody's funneling cash into this and they want it to be a return. By cultivating beef, pork, chicken, and seafood, we can have the most impact in terms of reducing emissions from conventional animal agriculture and satisfying growing global demand for meat while meeting our climate targets, he said. Val hopes to put cultured meat on the map in the European Union, a market where such meat as food is not regulated yet. Wow. Well, there you go. They want to rush it out to market where it's not regulated. Yeah, I don't see that going bad at all. There you go, folks. That was with files from the Associated Press. So, mammoth meatballs could be in your next spaghetti. I'm just saying. It could happen. By God. But should it? I don't know. Again, you be the judge. I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of it. It's kind of spooky to me. But that's going to wrap up the news. And we're going to get back at this in a minute. I'm going to take a quick break and let the cat out of the room. And I see he's laying down now, but it's only going to be a matter of minutes before he's hammering on the door handle again. And we'll be right back in just a couple minutes, so just bear with me. My apologies. The minion opened the door and the cat came in, so I'm going to be right back. Just give me a couple minutes. Don't go away. If you go away, there could be consequences. Just saying. But let's close out the news first. All right, we'll be right back. Give me a couple minutes to get things situated around here. Don't go away. ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Sorry about that. Minion stopped back again. So nothing's going on, Shrek. Doing good. Just had to get the cat out of here and get things resettled. So, yeah, I think we're all set to go. And we got a company. The Minion's here. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
Good. You having a good night?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah? You watching the show upstairs, too?
Yeah.
Padding the stats. Woo! That's good. Did you hit the like?
Yeah.
You did? All right. Good. Well, you can have a snack later. No, I'm just kidding. But this is my youngest son, Elijah. He's here. He was just in the chat a little bit ago, and wanted to stop by and say hi to you guys. So, say hi.
Hi.
Okay. All right. Well, cool. Thanks for stopping by, buddy.
Okay.
Good to see you.
See you.
Do you want to put the headphones over here?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Don't let the cat in.
Okay.
All right. Be mindful of the cat. All right. Very good. Thanks, buddy. Love you.
Love too.
Okay. All right, ladies and gents. Thank you, Shrek. Appreciate that. He is a cutie pie. Takes after his dad. Just saying. No, I don't know. I think he takes after his mom more. But anyway, he's all mine anyway. So we got a bunch more show to get to. And by God, we're going to do that right now. So we've started, I don't know, a couple months ago, 3 months ago maybe. I don't even know how long we've been doing it now. Time is of little value here in the portal. We have our own time continuum here, so it's hard to keep track. But we are going to do a segment that I really have fun with. And this is from our Discord server, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just get it up over here. There we go. And head to the next segment of our show, which is the Discord question of the week. Play the animation. Where's the animation? Did I hit the wrong one? No, I hit the right one. Where the hell is it? Here it is. Solomon, the wormhole thing on the screen is awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's just an animation that simulates going through a portal. So I thought that was kind of cool. But if you notice, it looks a little bit different. It's because I lowered the brightness because somebody said, "Oh, that's too bright. I can't see anything else." So I don't know if they were getting hypnotized by it or what, but I turned down the brightness on this screen behind me. So it doesn't look quite so bright and in your face, because I don't have real bright lights in here. I've got a studio light right here, but I keep it kind of mellow because I think I don't like bright light personally. Not that I'm part cockroach or anything, but you know, I just like the shadows. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to visit the question of the week, and this is our Discord server that you're seeing on the screen here. And let me throw out an invite to any of you guys that may be Discord users but haven't actually joined yet. And you'll put it in the chat here if you want to join and become part of our Discord server. We'd love to have you over there. And essentially, before every live show, unless we have guests like tomorrow night, again, Nick Valente will be joining me. So we'll just be talking. I'll just be talking to him throughout the 2-hour show tomorrow night. But he's going to be here. But on other nights when it's just like this, when we do the variety show, then I post a paranormal question up for you guys in the Discord community. And certainly those of you on chat can also chime in on it as well, if you choose to. It's just to hear what you guys think about this stuff, because again, nobody knows what's going on with all this weirdness for sure. There's no experts. I despise that term in paranormal, supernatural, Fortean topics, cryptozoology, whatever, and ufology. There's just no experts. There are just enthusiasts with ideas. And certainly there's some very compelling schools of thought out there, and I don't mean to discount those. But what I'm saying is that the term expert would imply somebody has really actively researched and has, the ability to access the subject matter at will and study and challenge and test it. And we just don't have that with any of this stuff. But what we do have is the idea to throw around throw around theories, throw around ideas, and there's no wrong answers. So I love this segment a lot because it's just a chance to hear directly from all of you out there. So this has just been a lot of fun because you get a lot of my ideas throughout the course of listening to these shows, but I love your ideas, and your ideas have helped me in so many ways just to think about this stuff from new perspectives, put new spins on this and on all of these topics, and I really appreciate it. So let's get to tonight's question. So it's for the Friday show. The number of cryptid sightings seems to be on the rise. And while some of the increased reporting is clearly the ability to have conversations that were at one time very taboo, but outside of the more socially accepted norms, do you think there are currently more of these creatures in our world than ever before? Or do you have any theories as to why that might be, that their populations are increasing? Or what do you account for the increased sightings and experiences of these creatures? I know that was a terrible run-on sentence for a lot of that, but I am literate, but not exceptionally literate. So I just type as I'm thinking. So this is my question. Are there more cryptids? If so, why do you think that is? Or, outside of, everybody knows that now we have the discussion more than ever before, so more people are maybe willing to come forward and talk about it. But do you think there's more of them out there, or do you think it's the same, and what do you think could be the cause of there being more? So the first responder was Colleen Bow, and she says, basically, I feel the veil is thinning. I believe these creatures have always been around, but things are shifting in the world around us, and I believe things are just going to get crazier. And just remember, don't believe everything you see is real or what appears to be. That's a good point. Yeah. You still have to look at these things, especially when somebody's showing you their proof or their evidence. I think it does have to stand up to scrutiny in order to be evidence. If you're going to offer something as evidence, it should look like evidence, and it should stand up to challenge at least reasonably well. Some people you'll never convince. It doesn't matter if you shot the new version of the Patterson Gimlin film. Some people will just never believe. But at least, that's true. You got to question everything. All right, next up is Paradox Fossils. He said, it's to help awaken people to the destruction of nature and wildlife and forests. And God, that could be true. I mean, God only knows that we continue to expand into the wild places of the world. And while most of our population is still centered around these major urban areas, there's an increase of people that are choosing to build out into the places where they may never have before. So could that intrusion be part of what's shaking this stuff up and bringing these things to light? Maybe. That's a good point. Next up is from K-Love, and she says, I feel like CERN is opening up a hole for strange things to enter. Yeah, God only knows what the ramifications of those tests could be. I've certainly heard tons of speculation and claims of strangeness around these test sites. And I guess it stands to reason if you're smashing the building blocks of the universe together at near light speed, you could open things up. I mean, could that open a rift? Maybe. And maybe there's a lot more ramifications than just, hey, let's find the Higgs boson. Maybe there's more to it and more we should be careful about. Great point. B. Mora says, because of all the technology, such as camera, audio recording, and video that's in everyone's hands, the government agencies are finding it harder to keep people in the dark about it. Also, the folklore and cultural stories are now taking a secondary position due to more sightings and acceptance of the sightings. The creatures have always been there. Okay. Yeah, there's certainly that. I mean, our awareness, and perhaps even on a more metaphysical level, our awareness is expanding. And so we're seeing more of this than ever before. Things that might have remained more hidden just because of our, and I don't mean just tunnel vision. I mean that maybe our awareness is actually increasing. Maybe we're in a transitory state of vibrational acceleration. I don't even, that's a lot of words to string together that may mean almost nothing, but I think we are as a species going through a transition of sorts. Maybe a metamorphosis to a closer version of the truth of what it is. I think I heard on a show, and somebody threw the number around, and I don't know if this is an accurate number, but I think the person said that, look, we can only see with our eyes 5% of the actual color spectrum. And I don't know if 5 was the right number, but I think that was right, or maybe it was 15. But anyway, there's a lot more out there that we're not able to see normally with our naked eyes. But perhaps we're learning to see with other things. Maybe our pineal glands are opening or something like that. I don't know. It's kind of esoteric thinking, but something's going on in this world. And there's a whole lot that's not making sense right now. So something incredible is going on. But thank you, B. Moore. I appreciate that. Chucky Danger says, I think the correlation between the cave systems, national parks, and deep underground military base give a clue of what's going on. I think some of the cryptids are natural, or at least from a long ago event in history. However, there may be a military breeding program happening that is hidden from all of them. But the most elite in the world, hijacking the use of portals through the occult, might also be letting these beasts and spirits from dimensions beyond our own. Suffice to assume that there will eventually be a revealing of what these things are and where they are come from. Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, certainly could be. I don't think that the occult practices have changed much through the generations that have been practicing them. I think that maybe there's more aggressive practice than before, but maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to say, but that's an interesting point. Thank you, Chucky. Rachel 101 says, I think with the change is society, particularly social media. People are presented with cryptids in film, creepypastas, or other fictional forms, and this creates the collective subconscious a new layer of thought. Even these fictional accounts add to the collective thought. Wow, that's a great point. This could have the result of more sightings, and social media has resulted in people being more open to sharing. Sure, sometimes it's the anonymous sharing of experiences, but this also adds layers to the collective subconscious. It has changed us all, and with these changes, the portals to perception have allowed the collective us to see more of what was once hidden. Wow, that's phenomenally profound. If we are actively creating our experience, then through the collective subconscious or the collective consciousness of these possibilities, does that change the whole? Does that give us a more robust reality? I think that's incredibly possible. Just here and there 66 says, in the case of Sasquatch, I think their numbers thinned with the smallpox that killed Native Americans, killed them too, very low numbers. I don't think they have many children, or there are many years in between offspring. The rest, I think, is because of better technology and the pandemic chasing people into the woods more than before. Do you suppose, I guess what you're saying then is that more people went to the wildlands during the pandemic than before because urban areas and social get-togethers weren't possible? Maybe that's true. That's pretty interesting. We got another one here from Android Paranormal. I'm pretty clueless on this question. All I know is some of these things are legit. It's undeniable to me from the reports I've heard of people being so passionate or emotional talking about what they encountered, and a few really good videos that rise above the rest. I'm not really sure if they are increasing or if it's just due to the increase of modern communication thanks to smartphones and the internet. If they are increasing, then I am clueless why. However, something strange has been going on for years that make random creatures appear. Maybe the veil really is thinning for some unknown reason. For all we know, our dimension might be bleeding into another more and more over time. Yeah, that's quite a thought, isn't it? That's, we see bubbles of that sometimes in stories where people are walking along a path in the forest and suddenly they're if they're in a normal woodland forest of North America and suddenly they're in a jungle, or they're in a grassland or they're somewhere else or at elevation and then they backtrack and they're back where they should be. Are these little bubbles maybe increasing as Android suggested? Maybe. That's pretty interesting. So if that's the case, when people are experiencing these, could these be dimensional bubbles instead of space-time anomalies? Could they be a shift to a different version of our reality? And maybe things are coming through that. Yeah. Thank you all for your thoughts on this. I think it's incredibly interesting. And again, who knows? I don't pretend to know for sure, but I know that there's certainly more and more and more of these reports coming. Now, I will state for the record, I think some of this is confirmation bias. I think that some people want so badly to see something that they accept that when something does happen that they don't readily explain, it becomes what they want to see, and that could be any number of things from mistaken identity to just normal events that happen that people are attributing to these other beings. It's anybody's guess, but I think that there certainly are several incredible stories out there. Could it be that these things are being created somewhere? Maybe. Could it be that they're coming here from somewhere else in the stars? Maybe. Could it be that there's dimensional gateways opening? Maybe. Or could it be that through our expansion into the wilds, just as a normal geopolitical or geographical, not political, but expansions, when we're building houses deeper in the woods and everybody wants privacy, are we shaking up their lives? Their ranges, the places they've lived for millennia are now, turning into golf courses and sports clubs. Are we shaking them out of their normal places so they're more migrant than ever before? Maybe that's it. And I don't know for sure what the answers are. I just know that all these ideas are very valid. They're coming from home.
Parent.
Oh, now it said parent. Oh, we had a bunch of stuff going on here. At about 16 seconds, we had something popping off. And it said parent. Again, what does parent mean? Maybe there's a parent that's bringing them here. I don't know. Parents brought me here. This wouldn't be happening without Portal Mom. I'm just here to tell you. So maybe there's something to it. Yeah, parents. I don't know, Solomon. Not sure. Again, I'm not really a big subscriber to the word database that this uses, but it does something triggers the responses to come out. I just don't know that they're valid responses. And part of that, let me just segue for a second. Part of that is, how do they learn? How do they learn? It's like the Ovilus that you always see on the ghost shows. Come use your energy to this device and you can talk to us. Well, how do they know how to use their energy? How do they know which energetic pulse will create which word? Where's the learning curve that would have to happen? Unless there's some universal knowledge that they can tap into that, oh, this is the energy pulse for get the hell out, I have a little bit of a problem. It is compelling. I will say that I've seen Ovilus produce words that are really fascinating, that are like, wow, that was totally matched the discussion that was going on. And other times it'd be like, fan. How did you die? It'll be like balloons. What? So I've seen them be absolutely nonsensical, and I've seen them sometimes give you profound answers. I've never really heard anything too profound out of this app, though. So I don't know if it's, how it's operating or what's allegedly triggering it, but something's triggering it. But what it is could be, I don't know, more mundane than the paranormal. But anyway, this has been the Discord question of the week. thank you to everybody who participated, shared your thoughts and ideas. You're absolutely right. You could be absolutely right. I don't know. But in any case, that'll wrap it up. So yeah, please watch for the questions of the week prior to the live shows. Again, we do live shows on the Paranormal Portal every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturdays. So, and again, tomorrow night we're not going to have a question. I won't post one tonight for tomorrow because we have a guest coming. Again, Nick Valente will be joining us, cryptozoologist, and he will be talking about dogmen and pretty much anything else we can throw at him. So. Those of you in the chat, have your questions ready because I will certainly field questions to Nick as he's here as well. That should be a great time. So that'll be tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on YouTube. Hope you guys will join us. So, a guest. Yeah, that's right, Maggie. And it's a cryptozoologist as well. It's not just a guest. It's a cryptozoologist. Sorry, I love accents. So. All right, so that's going to wrap up that segment of the show, which brings us to, God, it's already after 8. How did we get here? How did this happen, folks? I don't even know. That's how much it's a time anomaly here on the Paranormal Portal. I do want to go to this article. This is the one that I was talking about. Now, I do have to warn you, one of the stories on here is not, I'm going to read it as family friendly as I can. But just be aware if if you have younger children, maybe have them sit this part out. At least the first. I don't know. It has to do with the first one, I think. Let me just look. No, this isn't the one. Not the second one. No, not the third one. Fourth one. Nope, not that one. Okay, I don't know. It's one of these stories coming up in here. And it's a little seedy. I'll try to warn you when I get to it. But it's not the first several. So I guess the first several are fine. Don't worry about it. But I will give you a flag when it's like, okay, get the kids out of the room. All right. So this is actually, again, this is a Reddit scrape article. So basically, that's what I call these articles that are just kind of composite articles where the actual sites have nothing to do with the paranormal. But these sites sometimes put these clicky articles together because they generate a hell of a lot of ads on them usually, and I've got it up through the Brave browser, which wipes most of that out. But sites do this, I guess, because it gains revenue, and that's wonderful because then we can use it for the show, which is good. But this article is coming from Pets Reporter. So I don't know if you got pets, maybe you want to check out this site. Maybe it's something you want to get into and look at. But this is, people share freaky stories that make us wonder if we're living in the Matrix. So here we go. And this one, I just was talking to Supernatural Station podcast guys, Jaron and Roman earlier, and they shared a story that was actually very similar to the seedy story that I'm talking about. Not their story wasn't seedy, but it's just very similar. So in many ways. All right, so the first one up, I'm just going to skip a lot of their narrative, but this one has to do with dream premonition. So every so often I'll have dreams which play out exactly as I dreamt them years later. They're usually insignificant moments, so I make a mental note and I just move on. Oh, I know why the CD story wasn't on here. Okay, I remember now. Hold on a sec. I gotta redo this because I was like, where is it? I thought it was right at the top. Let me do this. We're going to get to it one way or the other. Yeah. So it's Wild Glitch in the Matrix Stories. This is actually the top of the article. Again, Pets Reporter, Wild Glitch in the Matrix Stories. Here's, okay, here, the first story is the seedy one. So cover your kids' ears. Jake, if you're there, go make a sandwich or something quick. And it'll just be this first one. But all right, here goes. And I'm going to do my best to read this as PG as I can, but the words are still going to be up on the screen. It says, about 2 years into my relationship with my girlfriend, well, I'll call her Susan, I had a dream about an ex. Dream went like this. I was in my room getting busy with my ex. I knew I was not being faithful on Susan, but I didn't care. So In the middle of it, I look over to the window, which you can see the back porch from, and Susan is there watching us, crying and mortified. I then woke up. I thought it was a weird dream, but I just dismissed it. Well, a few days go by, and Susan and I are hanging out in my room. She brings up this weird dream she had a few days prior, and she describes my exact dream, except from her point of view looking through the window. Freaked me the hell out. Didn't say anything about it at the time, and I still haven't said anything, but it still weirds me out. Now, that's so profound because it's like they shared a dream. And sometimes in dreams, they're just this weird series of things. And I don't know. I mean, I've had some real garbage dreams where it's like, what the hell? When I was little, I had a dream that Frankenstein and Dracula were in the kitchen making toast. I mean, that's the kind of weird dreams that I have when I have them. And I don't usually remember my dreams. But what I do, it's like, what the hell was that? Even as a kid, I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense, but it was just a kid dream. But anyway, I don't like, I've heard of people getting into big relationship arguments over a dream someone had. Oh, I dreamt this and that was terrible. And I don't think you can really hold someone personally accountable for stuff like that. But it's very strange the way dreams work. Sometimes I think they're incredibly profound, and other times I think they're just garbage. But who knows? All right, next one is monkey talk. My dad had this little toy monkey that he used to call his favorite child and tease me and my siblings with it. Well, anyway, one day we finally got it and threw it into the garbage after drawing on it and mangling it for a bit. Well, anyway, a few years later, I'm walking down the street in Toronto. I don't live in Toronto. I was just visiting some friends. And I see this little orange object on the side of the road. When I walk over to it, I pick it up and see that it was the exact same freaking monkey. It even had the black Sharpie lines on it from when we drew all over it. I honestly cannot even come up with the chances of that happening, especially considering our garbage is sent to a local dump and is nowhere near Toronto. Oof, that's a creepy little monkey. I guess it took the whole I'm your big brother thing serious. You don't throw your brothers away. Come on now. Wow. Next up is the ring. I used to work in a building that had 3 levels of sub-basements, with the piece of lab equipment I typically worked on in the lowest of the basements. I had the only key. There was a wired phone in there. And I did work late some nights, but not this night. I was sleeping alone in my apartment when I woke up to a call on my cell phone from my girlfriend at 3 a.m. She was in hysterics and asking why I scared her. Well, apparently she received a call from that basement phone just a minute earlier with someone who sounded like me, slowly repeating her name until crackling and fading out. I thought she was lying, but I saw the 3 a.m. call from the basement phone logged on her cell phone myself. Oof, that's so creepy. Someone was like, oh, Susan. And then it just crackles and fades out. Oof, that's creepy. All right, next up is a dream premonition. This is one we already read. The tooth fairy is real is next. Knocked out a baby front tooth early in elementary school. Adult tooth grew in, knocked out that same tooth a couple of years later, and another adult tooth grew in. Clearly there is a tooth fairy and she likes me. She gave me money and another tooth for free. Wow, that's pretty powerful. I think it'd be great if we were like sharks and every time we knocked one out, something else would grow in. But that's not the case. Otherwise, there'd be a lot happier meth people out there. Just saying. People, and it breaks my heart that people get so lost in a chemical like that. But you know what I mean? It's like, it's just not good for your teeth. All right, here's the next one. What are the chances? I used to work at a video store. Dad and daughter came in to rent a movie. I jokingly told them they had a late fee of $898.58 on their account. Well, they both looked at me in shock, and I told them I was just joking. Well, the dad tells me his daughter just got her first paycheck. She brings it out to show me $898.58. Wow. That's a serendipity, I guess. I don't know. Here's another one. I was sitting on a comp science class taught by
Happily.
Happily. I don't know how that relates. Again, I always look for meaning to see if it's relevant somehow, but I'm not sure how happily ties into that. I guess they were happy they didn't have a late fee. I was sitting in a comp science class taught by a teaching assistant with poor command of English. No one in the class could understand a word, and it was painful to sit through. Well, after about an hour of staring at my watch, I thought loudly to myself, time could not be moving any slower than it is right now. Right as I thought the now, the heavy crystal watch face split from the top to bottom, directly down the center. I didn't move or touch it in any way. Well, that's a teacher's assistant. You shouldn't be talking smack about that. They've obviously got someone watching over them, and they didn't appreciate your candor. All right, next up is wrong number. One night I was bored and decided to call up my friend. I pick up the phone, landline at the time. I dial and wait. Someone answers, and I ask for my friend, and they say, just a sec, and go to fetch her. I say hello and start asking what she's up to. Well, she sits quietly for a minute and then asks me how I knew where she was. I'm a little confused and say, well, I just assumed you were at home. To which she tells me that she's at a random classmate's house working on a school project. I had misdialed her number and somehow managed to call a random house that she happened to be at. Still screws with my head to this day. Yikes. That's pretty powerful. Next one up is Deja Vu. We're going to read a couple more of these and then we'll go on to the cryptid corner here pretty quick because we got a lot of those to cover. When I was looking at colleges, I was walking down a stairwell to see a building when I passed a girl about my age. We both met gazes, passed, and then at the same time stopped and turned back around and looked again. For a moment, we just stared at each other, and it was like I'd just run into someone I'd known my whole life, but had never seen before. At the same time, we asked, do I know you? Confused, we spent a few moments trying to figure it out. We swapped names, shared where we were from, where we had traveled, but there was no match-up at all. We didn't know anything about one another, but there was this unexplainable, undeniable connection. Well, her parents, who hadn't realized she had stopped and had continued walking, came back and hurried her off before I could get her phone or email. Yikes. Wow. How's that for a meeting? I mean, is that a past life thing? Is that a reincarnation thing? Will they ever meet again? Were they supposed to meet? Was that the time? That'd be a shame. That's kind of a shame that they didn't at least trade numbers and stay in touch. Huh. That's a useful power to have is next. Ever since I was a kid, I have what I call doubling occasionally happen around me. I put something in a pocket and then later find it in another pocket, as well as the original in the pocket I'd put it in. The most standout example was when I was a teen at camp. All the leaders had engraved plastic name tags, and we were only issued one, and I used to keep moving mine between my hat and my shirt. Well, at the end of camp, I just crammed all my stuff in a duffel bag and headed home. Later, I unpack. The first thing I do is pull out the hat and with the tag on it. And I said, okay, that's where I had it last. And of course, a minute later, I pull out a shirt and the same name tag pinned to it. Wow. So he didn't have to, but had to, or she. So maybe they should start carrying cash. See if that'll double. All right, I'm going to put this $2,000 in my pocket and then see what happens. Could be a good plan. One more. Creepy encounters years apart. At 12 years of age, my mom let me stay in the truck as she went grocery shopping. And as I wait, I see an old guy walking towards the truck with an indescribable look at me as if I knew too much. He stops 5 feet from the truck, looks at me for a couple of seconds, then heads back the same way he came. It was rather traumatic for some reason and very confusing at that age. Well, 5 to 6 years later, my dad was showing me home videos of us at Yellowstone at Old Faithful. I noticed the same guy, same look, same clothes, peering at us on camera and at me through the TV. I'm freaked out just telling this. Again, are these legitimate claims? Maybe. Maybe they are. I don't know. It could just be fabrications, though, as well. So, I don't know. Again, you be the judge. It's not the scope of my hosting to try to make you believe in anything. But if even one of these stories is legitimate, that's still pretty incredible. If only one of them is. But if they all are, then that's phenomenal. They're supposed to be. I always bring you things that are supposed to be real. Can I verify that? No, I can't. But I try to find things that I think are compelling and interesting and make us think, because that's where our true superpower is. Thinking. We got to be able to think. So we'll leave it there and we'll visit that one again on another night here on the portal. But I think we're going to visit some Sasquatch Chronicles now for the Cryptid Corner, ladies and gentlemen. Talk about some of these creatures that are surrounding us all regular, like maybe they're always with us. Maybe we can't see them all the time. Maybe they just pop into existence once in a while. But I don't know for sure. Time for a drink, though. Cracking open a fresh one here, folks, because it's getting deep. It's always getting deep here on the portal. Also, just in case any of you are not aware, if you're new to the show, maybe you're just like, well, what's going on here? Well, yeah, I don't do anything that's that scary here. So the phone lines are always open if you have paranormal experiences of your own that you'd want to share. And it just came up right below me here on the lower third here. You can call in 720-923-0500. And you can talk to me and tell me what your experience is if you have one. I'll do my best to keep an eye on it. It's a little harder when it's just me, but sometimes I do catch them, or most of the time I think I catch them. But if you want to call in and share something, by all means, that's how you do it. So, all right, you're new. Well, I'm glad you're here, Solomon. Thank you so much. I used to have a cat named Solomon, by the way. He was a black cat as well. He was an awesome cat. He was really cool. Kind of a cool story. Little side story since we're talking about the name Solomon, but I got Solomon by accident. He just showed up outside my old house, and he was a small, tiny little kitten, and he could fit curled up in the palm of my hand. He was just the sweetest little thing, but he grew up, and he was unfortunately not fixed. I didn't ever take him in to get it fixed. I probably should have, but he kind of decided to be free. But the very last maybe several weeks that I had him, I had just gone through an appendix removal, an emergency appendectomy, and had my appendix pulled out. And it was before they did, well, because of I don't know if it was before they did it or for whatever reason, they went in the old fashioned way. They created a huge incision along my abdomen and took out my appendix. And it had started bursting and stuff. So it was kind of a mess, but I'm fine, obviously. But anyway, I was single at that time and living alone, and I was laying on the couch with this appendectomy scar and healing, but I was miserable. Because I'm laying on a couch. It was probably stupid anyway, but it was the only place I could get comfortable, because to get up, you need your abdomen muscles, and it's
beginner.
Yeah, I was a beginner. I was beginning to wonder what the hell I did that for. But anyway, I was really wounded, but this cat was really aloof the whole time I had him. Very, very aloof. But through that period of healing, which was just in the final weeks of him being with me, or week or so, he wouldn't leave my side. He would get up on me, lay on me, and stay there. He would get up to go to the bathroom or eat something and then come right back. And he stayed on me for a good solid week. It was like he was holding vigil over me or whatever, and it was just really beautiful. And and then he snuck out of a door after someone came and visited, and he snuck out and was just never came back. That was it. But it was like he was helping to heal me. And I know people say that cat purring is very healing, like the frequency of it is supposed to help healing. And so maybe he did. Maybe he just stuck around. Once I was getting good enough, then he was like, because I was healing throughout that time. And by the end of the week, he just popped out a door and just never came back. So it was like he was there to help me, and he didn't leave me. But once I was getting better, then he's like, okay, I'm out of here. Places to go. So yeah, it was a good story. Thanks, B. Moore. So anyway, we're going to go over to Sasquatch Chronicles blog. And ladies and gentlemen, please, everybody knows Sasquatch Chronicles, the podcast, but the blog is also fascinating and fantastic. And I know Wes works really hard over there. He's a wonderful friend and mentor to me in many ways. But he's posts these listener emails, and some of them become shows, but some of them don't. But in any case, these stories are fascinating. They're just really pretty incredible. So we're going to read a few of these, and we'll see what you guys think. So heading over to Sasquatch Chronicles blog, ladies and gentlemen. And the first one up on bat here in the Cryptid Corner is, did you see what I saw? And this is from March 28th. A listener writes, I grew up in the southwest part of Louisville, Kentucky. Sorry, I was going to say Louisiana. We lived about a mile or two off a wooded hilly area that stretches for miles south and east. As a teenager, we used to go to a pond at the base of a hill to go swimming. Round an hour or two before dusk, and there was, we used to go swimming. Round an hour or two before dusk, there was 2 or 3 of us left there. We heard something rustling about above the ridge. We thought some friends were trying to scare us, but as we were getting ready to leave, a tall figure ran through the trees 20 to 30 feet from the edge of the pond. We swam to the other side and ran all the way back to the neighborhood. We heard something following halfway down and then stopped. A few years later, we moved a few miles away and closer to the Ohio River. And it was about 3 or 4 years after the first experience that I was camping along the bank of an old house and fishing in the middle of the night. I heard a whooping and a clicking sound down the river on my side. After I stopped, a response came from the Indiana side with wood strikes. It went on for about an hour or two. And this is where I heard most of my vocals. My second sighting was one crossing in front of me on Highway 44, a few miles east of US 31, just north of West Point, Kentucky. It came out of the woods on the north, crossed the road, and across the field and gone in a flash. My last sighting was on the Fort Knox Army Base. I was a volunteer firefighter, and our department was called out to assist on a field fire. 2 of us were on a perimeter road trying to get in front of the fire when the male came out 50 feet in front of us, looked at us, and then grunted, and then looked south towards the base. It huffed and huffed, and then a female came out, and he was approximately 9 to 10 foot, and she was approximately 6.5 to 7 feet. She came out, looked at us, and across the road. Then 2 smaller juvenile came out about 4.5 to 5 feet, maybe 6 feet tall, quickly crossed the road. He looked at us through his hands up and darted after the group. My partner and I looked at each other and in shock and said, "Did you just see what I saw?" I told him he thinks so, but he better not tell nobody. We kept it quiet for 15 years. My friend passed away last summer, so now I'm letting out what we saw. I believe what we saw was a Sasquatch family trying to outrun the fire and heading to the hills on the other side of the Salt River. As I said, we did not let no one know, not our superiors nor the base. Yeah, I think that's a good way to stay employed. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. There's plenty of stories kind of like that, especially dealing with forest fires. People stumbling into them, and it stands to reason. They can't play games at that point. They gotta get out and be safe, keep their family safe or whatever. So I guess they're throwing more caution to the wind then, because they don't really have a choice. But that's got to be a pretty heavy experience. I think you got to feel pretty fortunate in many ways, because I assume they saw it from a vehicle. I don't know if that's the case or not, or if they were on foot, but at any rate, it was quite a distance in front of them. But 9 or 10 feet tall is a monster size being. And even at that distance, the way they move, geez, that's got to be pretty intense, I would think anyway. But you be the judge. All right, let's go to the next one. Again, this is Sasquatch Chronicles blog from March 27th. It looked like a big hairy kid. My wife, kids, and myself lived in the Waiparas village from 1998 to 2006 in a log home near the confluence of the Waiparas Creek and the Ghost River. Both waterways are full of brook trout, rainbows, and whitefish, and easily accessible. Well, I worked at AEC in Cernivus now, in downtown Calgary. I love to fish and would often have a friend, Dan, I used to work with, visit for the weekend and for fishing and beers. One morning outing, we walked from my cabin to the bridge that the forestry trunk road crosses the Waiparas Creek to fish downstream, starting from under the bridge. Well, Dan crossed the bridge to fish on the south side, and I stayed on the north side, where we walked from. We staged directly across from each other. The creek is maybe 30 feet wide. We were fly fishing and taking turns casting nymphs upstream under the bridge and dragging them by us downstream. Always a successful spot. Well, after one of my casts and slowly stripping line, I'm slowly pivoting left as I let the nymph pass and move downstream. As I'm in line with Dan, I look at him, and beside him, maybe 10 feet to his right, my left, was what looked like a big hairy kid. Not a huge 600-pound, 9-foot-tall monster, but maybe a 6-foot-tall hairy kid, leaning over towards him with curiosity. I yelled at him, and he wheeled around, and like a cartoon, they both threw their hands up in surprise, and this individual pivoted 180 degrees and launched like a sprinter so fast it seemed instantaneous. Think of an Olympic runner coming out from the chalks when the starting gun goes off. Well, Dan froze. I dropped my rod and started crossing the creek to get to his side, and by the time I got to him, it was gone. Where it was gone to was a problem. It took off towards where the creek wrapped around to meet the Ghost River, and there was a 60-foot cliff on the outside of the creek. Dan's side was also a very small thumb-shaped peninsula. It had no way to come back our way. I told Dan it launched fast. Dan said it just went poof and was gone. By the way, I had a camera, easily accessible, and I never once thought about it. I don't mind telling my friends and family about this story, but I'm reluctant to tell the Bigfoot world about it because it doesn't fit the big monster mold. Thank you for the forum and the opportunity to bring this forward. So that's a big thing. I think I don't know if you can ever really prepare to see something like this. I mean, how do you prepare emotionally or mentally or physically to see something like this? It's It's so far out of our norm. I mean, I've imagined it many times. Like, what would it be like to be out in the woods and just suddenly something like that steps out from behind a tree? And I think it's got to be, I would hope I would be maybe more diplomatic about it, but it's got to be absolutely terrifying. Especially the bigger ones, but even the smaller one. Would you know? Would you know that it was not meaning any harm? Is there maybe with a telepathic, thought, you could know that it was going to be okay, but could you trust it? Could you trust that? I don't know. God, I don't know. But the other thing that comes up a lot is people say, well, with the cameras everywhere, if there were Bigfoot, there should be plenty of pictures by now. All these people are seeing them. But that story is a great example of why there isn't. How do you go from, oh my God, I'm seeing something that's not supposed to be real, to let me get a picture of it? I mean, it's got to be a long leap to get from this shock to reacting and framing it up and taking a shot. I mean, unless your phone is just constantly on camera, it takes, a few steps usually to just activate the phone camera and then get it up and shoot a picture. It's not just, oh, there it is, like you're wearing a GoPro or something. Now, I think if somebody's really actively trying to catch one on film, that would be the way to go, is just wear a GoPro on your front and a GoPro on your back, and just maybe you'll catch something. But I just don't think people are functioning on a normal thought pattern in those situations. How do you get from this is unreal, oh my God, that sheer shock and disbelief, to let me grab a photo so everyone knows what I saw? I think those might as well be from the earth to the moon apart at that moment, because you're not in a normal situation. You're not viewing something that you are accustomed to seeing. And so the shock is very, very real. People with guns. I had a gun. I didn't even think to pull it or to protect myself. I was just terrified. So that stuff comes up all the time. Makes sense though. I mean, I don't know that I would have the presence of mind. That's why I think that just having an always on camera may be the only route to capturing some convincing footage, because you're not in the normal place anymore. Once you see that, you just can't be. It's something profound happened that changes everything. So just some thoughts. All right. The next one up is also from Sasquatch Chronicles blog. And this is from March 29th. It retreated into the woods, which is where they usually retreat to. All right. A listener writes, long story short, I've had Sasquatch encounters since my wife and I built our house on 10 acres surrounded by hundreds of acres of forestry in northern Wisconsin. Been living there for 13 some years. I've seen them, tracked them, video and trail camera of numerous things that are about them, including eyeshine, footprints, tree formations. Myself and my military brother of 22 years and 3 tours went out once years ago in winter and found where they were based after 2 hours of searching. Was driven out and left absolutely horrified at one point as all the sticks were being purposely snapped. A huge deep growl huff came from not 10 feet away and scared us half to death in the pitch dark. They did not want us there. Other times include the early morning fall sighting, which was my first right on my driveway. Saw it clear as day and watched it retreat into the woods. Another one walked up to the edge of the woods at night while I was outside checking my septic light bulb. I might have read this one. And could hear it breathing. I've seen their eye glint watching me from outside the patio doors. I've spoken to a detective who saw one cross the road near. Yeah, I did read this one, didn't I? Sorry, we're rereading it. Nearby, and a good friend who saw one coming out of the ditch on the highway close by. My father-in-law hearing them crash through the woods across the river, tree knocks, owl sounds that change into woot sounds. There's a skull. I don't know if the skull is related or not, but could be. But there you have it. Looks like a jackalope. You guys ever hear the legend of the jackalope? Kind of reminds me of this, but doesn't really look like a bunny it's attached to. Too many teeth. But anyway, yeah, that's a good series of stories. I think that guy would probably be really interesting to talk to. But let's see what's next. This one's from the 29th. Okay. This one is more, I guess, a giant wolf-like animal. This kind of plays into tomorrow's show with Nick Valente, because we're going to talk about Dogman and more. But at any rate, let's see. March 29th, a giant wolf-like animal. A listener writes, "Hello, Wes. So I had a horrifying experience when I was 14 years old. I live in Youngstown, Ohio, and I grew up on the north side of town in the city. If you look up pics of the old steel mills in town, you'll get an understanding of what I'm talking about. So my buddy," what is this? I did a podcast episode not too long ago with the Paranormal Portal about it. Oh, yeah, you did, Chucky. And it says, "So my buddy literally lived across the street from the mills. We would regularly go down there and just investigate the massive area, all but shut down and dilapidated. Well, we had certain old buildings that we frequented, and one we made into our home base. We spent weeks making walls and strengthening spots so no one could get in, especially the wild dogs that also frequented the area and were especially vicious. They traveled in packs of 6 or more. The building we went to all of the time had no stairs, so we had to jump up to get in. Made it safer for us, and I was right by an active railroad. The other working steel mill near used to get supplies in and out. Well, fast forward to the summer, and we were in there one night. We always had guns, as this was Youngstown, Ohio in the early 90s. Murder Town, USA at that time. Plenty of Bloods and Crips, and we had chosen an old factory building that was huge, and we would have massive fires right on the floor of the first floor. We erected a wall of these metal U-shaped things to give us privacy and safety. If anyone saw us from the railroad, they would call the police and security, and we would be in trouble. We were hanging out when we heard a pack of dogs coming, and we thought it sounded like they were chasing something. We went out to see, and they ran near us over a huge mound of coke that steel mills use in the steel making process. They ran over, and we heard a fight ensuing. Vicious attack going on. All dogs involved. After 6 or 7 seconds, we hear a louder dog above all the others, and the beginning screams of the wild dog started. Then, to our shock, at different times, wild dogs were literally being thrown over the mound in different directions. And finally, all the wild dogs ran away in the direction they came, but as fast as they could possibly run. Some limping, some with obvious injuries. We were shocked. Then one of my friends screams, "What is that? Look!" And at that moment, I kid you not, a giant wolf-like animal, the size of which seemed quite honestly fake, crawls on all fours to the top of the mound and is looking directly in the area where the wild dogs ran. It lifts its leg and subsequently and substantially releases a urine flow that honestly seemed like it was released out of a garden hose. That right there may sound amusing.
Raft.
Yeah, you need a raft with that kind of stream. Raft. That thing may sound amusing. It scares the hell out of us because it had the idea of just how large this thing was. My one buddy stumbled backwards into our makeshift wall, and then it turns its attention to us. I cannot relay to you the amount of fear we all immediately felt. I feel it even now writing this to you. The hairs on my arm are standing up. It had yellowish amber-colored eyes that literally glowed like they had the power source behind them. Looking back on it, we agreed that it was from the light of the huge bonfire that we had made in our home base. It growls next, and it was so deep that we all felt it. I said out loud that I just felt that in my chest. My two buddies said that they were all of a sudden lightheaded and getting sick. I did not feel that as at that moment, but we all were horrified. It then did something so shocking, so alien to the status quo that we immediately felt in danger and ran inside the building and up the two sets of broken, missing, and falling apart concrete stairs up to the third level. We were all very lucky that no one fell to at least a broken bones type of fall, maybe worse. It stood up on two legs, its back legs, and they looked like a huge set of dog's legs, but the leg muscles were reminiscent of a bodybuilder, but thicker. And just the look of this massive body was unbelievably impressive and intimidating. My one friend was crying. He was so terrified. When we got up to the third floor, we had to smack and shake him just to shut him up as well as cover his mouth until he passed out from the lack of air. We hoped it left, but it did not. After what seemed like an hour, but only 1 or 2 minutes, we hear it climb up on the outside and start to enter the building. We first saw the shadow of it, which was 10 times as large as the beast. We all froze. No one dared make a sound. We should have dropped down out of sight, but we were so terrified. We just stood there staring. It came into the light, and we saw everything on the animal. It was at the very least the size of a grizzly bear. Again, the size was so large it was hard to believe that we were not dreaming. This was not real. And it was happening 20 feet in front of us. It was growling, sniffing the air, and just automatically looked straight up at us. It knew we were where we were. The whole time its eyes were glowing, and this thing that stood out to us was it started drooling, but not a little. It was pouring out of its mouth. Was it pouring from the idea that it was about to eat, to kill us? It could have easily. It looked away from us and saw the stairs. We froze again and got a newfound feeling of horror. It was heading to the stairs to come up to where we were. We started freaking out and looking around and had only one escape. An outside fire staircase going up to the roof. The part to go down had rusted and fell off, however, long ago. It hopped easily over the 3 steps missing and was instantly up on the second floor. It was walking to the next set of stairs, and at that moment, we heard the most beautiful sound ever. A train coming right by the building, slowly too. They had to see the fire because when they were passing the building, they let loose the treason horn, and it freaked out the wolf creature. It looked towards the opening of the building and in 2 seconds was out of the building and gone. We all started screaming help, which no one heard, but also we were just screaming from stress and because we felt we were going to maybe be okay. When the train could no longer be heard, the fear set back in, and we thought every single sound was the thing coming back in. It did not, thank God. And then started to remember we had 3 pistols with us. We all took them out, took the safeties off, and started to make our way back down to the second floor. Waited 20 minutes and then to the first floor, and waited probably an hour before we ventured back outside, pointing the gun and flashlight in front of us the whole time. Remember, we didn't have LED lights of the early 90s. These were cheap plastic ones that only lit so much, but 4 of them helped light the way. We thought for sure every second we were making our way back to my friend's house that it was coming after us. We heard the wild dogs from the distance and started running. We ran until we got to my buddy's house, and those of us that are still alive talk about that night every time we see or talk on the phone. We will remember that until the day we die. I am still in awe that these things exist. Every time I see or hear a story about someone's experience with one or more, I freeze. I'm instantly brought back to that night, and I feel true fear again. Wow. There again, they had pistols. They just were so far out on the freak out meter that all rational thought was gone. I mean, maybe if it continued coming, they might have recalled, or one of them might have. But my God, it's got to be such a sheer level of terror. Ugh, that's got to be horrifying. Horrifying. My God, it's 8:47. How did the time go so fast? Well, we're down to about 10 minutes left. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We're going to revisit the glitches in the Matrix stories. We'll burn through a few more of those, and that'll be the show. We made it through. Jake, I did see that you had made a video. I'll look at it after the show, and maybe we'll show it on Wednesday. We'll look at that, but that's really cool. I'm really excited that you did that. So if you're out there listening still, I haven't forgotten. All right, let's go to that stories again. There we go. So let's go to the next one here. This is a magic monkey. Again, these are from petsreporter.com. People share freaky stories that make us wonder if we're living in the Matrix. All right, so I had a monkey on my keychain back in the high school. This chain was 3 links long, and one day I was walking out to my car, and I heard something hit the ground. I looked down to discover the monkey with links 1 and 2 of the chain still attached on the ground, and link 3 still attached to my belt. All of the links were still fused together. My only guess is that the chain phased itself apart. Wow. So none of the chain links were broken. They were all fused still. Now, that might have been passing through a gateway of some kind, huh? How many times do you suppose we might do that in our lifetimes? Yeah, time does fly. You're right, John. Oof. Goes way too fast. I'm an ogre and it can't be that bad, Shrek says. Yeah, but we're not all ogres. Is this a sign from the universe? Is next. I was walking up a hill in Portland, Oregon, and found a pack of American Spirits, which are cigarettes, on the ground, only missing 2. A week later in San Francisco, California, I bought a pack of American Spirits, and after smoking 2, I put the pack in the inside pocket of my jacket. Next time I went to smoke, the pack was gone. Oof. Is that the same pack? That's kind of a mind melt. The disappearing car is next. I was driving home from my girlfriend's one night. Where I live is very flat, so the road I was on was dead straight with no bumps or any places the road got higher or lower. So I'm just driving straight, got my high beams on because there's no one around, and I can see everything in front of me. There's no houses on either side, no driveways, just fields. And out of nowhere, a car appears about 20 feet in front of me, driving the opposite direction on the other side of the road. I was going pretty fast, so I passed them quickly. And when I look in the rearview mirror, there's nothing there. Freaked me out so bad I had to pull over and gather my thoughts before I could keep going. What is this, daytime, or is this a daytime drive? Or it says one night, so was it dark? Maybe their lights suck, or they didn't have tail lights or something. I don't know what night means, but it sounds like night. So, I mean, there could be a mundane explanation for that. My neighbor Tad is next. This happened to me in 3rd grade, and it scares me so much I started crying and had to go to the office to talk to the principal about it. I was in the hallway for misbehaving, and my neighbor Tad came walking out of the class to my right, passed in front of me, and headed down some stairs. We said hi to each other. About 20 seconds later, he walked out of the same class, passed in front of me, and headed down the stairs. I just stared at him, confused and afraid, and he looked back like, "Why the heck are you looking at me like that?" Doppelganger or time slip? What is it? Well, he only turned around once and looked back at her like, "What's wrong with you?" Anyway, weird. Futuristic photobomb. One of my friends has a family photo on our wall of her family in Florida back in 1998. And about 4 years ago, we were all around at her place for a party, and one of the girls burst out crying. When she finally calmed down, she said what in the background of the photo, a family is walking past. And it's her mom, dad, and brother, and she's more or less looking into the camera. We all laugh about it now, but it's so weird to look at. Why would that make you cry? It's just serendipity, I guess, or something of that sort. You just happen to be in the same place. The happiest place on earth. Speaking of places, when my drama class went to Disneyland, they took a big group picture in front of the castle. They took 3 pictures to make sure they got a good one. The first and last photo are normal, but the second has a guy no one's seen before in between 2 people with his arms around their shoulders. No one noticed him when the picture was taken. Oh, that's weird. So it was an apparition of some kind, perhaps? Some multi-dimensional individual who's just getting a chuckle? Hey, watch this. Maybe. Could be. All right, we'll do one more. This one's called The Sixth Sense. So my family and I moved when I was in 3rd grade. And before we moved, my parents brought me and my siblings on a road trip to introduce us to our future house. It was owned by this nice old man who did a lot of self-repair over the years. Well, I walked inside, waved at a kind-looking old lady in a rocking chair, walked around, and then we left. Nothing odd, except for one small detail. As we left the house, I was a little confused. But Mom, I asked, I thought you said the owner of the house lived by himself. Who was the old lady? My mom gave me a 3-headed look. What old lady? My family agreed with her. Well, apparently the old guy wasn't as alone as he thought he was. What? When will Paranormal Portal talk? I'm it, Solomon. I am the Paranormal Portal. And so are all of you. We are the Paranormal Portal. We are talking. Some by chat. Some reading stories to you. Trying desperately to keep you entertained. Is it working? Is it working? Are you entertained, Solomon? Did you have a good time? I hope you enjoyed being here. I really appreciate always meeting new people that are stopping in, and I hope you guys have a good time. But if you are new and you like what you've seen or you had a good time here, the community is amazing. I'd love for you to get subscribed and ring the bell so you get notifications. But we do these shows live here on YouTube every Wednesday, Friday night, and Saturday night. So again, tomorrow night, Nick Valente is going to be joining me here on the portal, and we'll be talking cryptozoology all night. It's a whole Cryptid Corner episode. So we'll have a good time with that, and it'll be great to talk to him and hear his experiences, hear about his research, what he's uncovered. Sorry. I had a gas come from like my toes on that one. It's like, took a while. But anyway, yeah, it's good to have you here, Solomon. Thank you so much for stopping in. Hope you managed to become part of the family too. Thank you, John. I'm glad you loved the show. I love doing the shows, and I'm thrilled that you guys were here with me. Didn't have any calls tonight, but that's okay. Sometimes people got something to share. Sometimes you just want to kick back and listen or talk to the community. But I'll be back tomorrow night, as I said, with Nick Valente, and we'll dive into 2 hours of it. Brent, you are amazing. You have a talent to speak. Thanks, Shrek. I appreciate that. I do my best, brother, but or sister. I don't know if you're a male or female, but yeah, I'm assuming male because Shrek is a male character. But yeah, I appreciate that a lot. Nick is awesome, James says. Good. I'm looking forward to having a chance to talk with him. I've never talked with Nick personally, so I've certainly seen his show. I love this show too. Good. Thank you. Glad you do, Solomon. Hope you stick around. Hope all of you guys stick around. And please let other people know about the portal as always. We are, this is grown completely by grassroots. I don't advertise anywhere. I've only done like a $20 run on Google ads once just to see. And we got a little bit of traffic, but all of our growth, all of our success is all thanks to all of you. You guys let people know, you spread the word of mouth, And that's the best endorsement anybody could ask for anyway. I mean, if you see something advertised, it's like, oh, that's a show, maybe I should check it out. But if somebody says, hey, I caught this really cool show, you should check it out, then it becomes powerful. So any of you guys that share the shows with people, that means a bunch. Shrek says he is indeed male. All right, perfect. Well, I'm glad I got that right, brother. So finally I have to check him out. Yeah, really have to check him out. So also remember, the Paranormal Portal is a podcast. It's available on iTunes, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, Pandora, just every other platform out there. So you can check out that. New episodes are every Monday released, but you can also find those episodes right here on our YouTube channel. There's a playlist where season 4, which is the current season, is posting live as I upload new episodes. So you guys can check them out. Season 4 here, if you like the show, you want to hear more of it, then check it out on the other platforms. Seasons 1, 2, and 3 are out there. Season 1 has like 150 some episodes because I did 3 podcast episodes a week for a year. And it was a lot of work. I used to do 7 live streams here on YouTube and then 3 podcast episodes. So I was doing 10 episodes a week for years. Well, for a year. And then I think it went down to 7 episodes a week because I took a couple days off, or 8, because I took a couple days off on YouTube finally because I needed some free time. So the YouTube playlist is huge. There's over 1,000 YouTube live shows that you can check out in archive here, and also season 4 of the podcast. But we'd appreciate your love anywhere you want to check out the shows, and let other people know if you would, please. If you like the shows, if you're an iTunes listener, I'd love to have your reviews. We get primarily really awesome reviews on iTunes, but I get a few haters that show up and they just say the creepiest things and they give me 1 star. So if you like the podcast, go on iTunes and nullify their crappy review. I don't know if it's from other shows that are trying to compete with me or what. One of them talks about the terrible sound quality, 1 star, and it's like, are you kidding me? It sounds wonderful. So I even ran it by Wes. I'm like, Wes, does this sound right to you? He's like, God, your sound is great. So I don't know, but certainly your love goes a long way, and it helps other people, because I know I personally rely on reviews when I'm looking at new things. So I always read customer reviews or people's reviews that have checked it out. So your reviews mean the world. So anyway, nullify those 1 stars, will you? Anyway. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for me tonight, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you all come back tomorrow night and join Nick Volente and myself. We'll dive into the cryptozoology, the Dogman, and probably Bigfoot, and maybe even more. We'll see what we get to. But that'll be tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific time right here on YouTube. So I hope you'll join me then. And remember, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. Also, one more thing before I'm done. I'm sorry, I just remembered this. I wanted to show. This is an update I made to the Paranormal Portal homepage. And I'll put it up on screen here. This is the Paranormal Portal homepage. You can find it at paranormalportal.net. On the very top, you can't quite see it because it's trimmed off from the screen, but there's some social media buttons. You can find all our social media presences at paranormalportal.net. One thing I did do, which I'm really proud of, is I've also updated this to display the most current podcast episode so that you can check it out here on our homepage as well. So paranormalportal.net, there's links to YouTube, links to the podcast. If you want to be interviewed, you got some stories of your own, you want to be interviewed on the podcast, click here. It opens a calendar application, and you can schedule a date of specific date and time ranges that I'm available for, and I'd love to talk to you. So Paranormal Portal and the documentaries you narrated recently on Amazon. Oh yeah, thanks, Rachel. I appreciate that. Yeah, those are the Walking with the Wild Man series of documentaries on Amazon Prime, and you can check those out as well. I did the narration. wrote and recorded. So hopefully you like it. But anyway, that's all I got time for tonight. I guess I'll see you tomorrow night with Nick Valente right here on the Paranormal Portal. Hopefully we'll see you guys later. Then, and please spread the word. So good night, everybody. I got to go grab a bite to eat. I haven't eaten tonight yet, so I'm starving. I'm famished here, huh? All these readings, hard work. All right, guys. Have a great night.
Mm-hmm.